we'll begin with the highlights.
President William Ruto assures his opponent he will win the President William Ruto assures his opponents that he will win the 2027 general elections despite piling public pressure calling for his resignation. Azimio la Umoja at crossroads with Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka and Azimio leader Raila Odinga reading from different scripts on the multisectoral forum championed by Ruto. Prime Cabinet Secretary cites inadequate resources as a factor affecting the foreign affairs docket, with 316 Kenyans having died so far while working in the Gulf since 2002. Controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie back to court with the Director of Public Prosecution Renson Ingonga lining up 90 witnesses against Mackenzie and his co-accused.
This is KUTV Primetime News with Yvonne Kemuma.
Apologies for that earlier technical hitch. Now, our sign language interpreter tonight is John Opio. We'll begin with the broadcast. President William Ruto on Wednesday announced that he is ready for the 2027 general elections despite piling public pressure for him to resign immediately. Speaking during the commissioning of Kemuma Power Substation in Kajiado County, Ruto seemed to turn a blind eye to this request and named the upcoming elections as a test in which the person who spearheaded visible progress in the country will be declared victorious.
In Kajiado County, President William Ruto has stated that he is not feeling threatened nor anxious due to the public pressure from Kenyans all over the country regarding his resignation, rather stating that he is focused on the 2027 elections and until then he is staying put.
Kila mtu ajipange. Mimi najipanga, hii uchaguzi tutakutana. Si ndio? Hakuna problem.
According to President Ruto, the next election serve as a test and only those with tangible proof of their work like him will be successful.
Pale 2027 tutafanya mtihani na hawa wananchi. Na kila mtu atakuja na kazi yake amefanya. So, hakuna haja ya kusumbuana hapa katikati. Wacha tungoje hii mtihani, kila mtu afanye hii mtihani tuone nani wa kupita, nani wa kuanguka.
Some of the leaders who accompanied President Ruto during the commissioning of the Kemuma Power Substation supported the president's stance on the election while chastising those named as tribal aggressors determined to go against the president's wishes.
Political scavengers, Your Excellency, who wanted to divide our country even along class lines. Those political scavengers, Your Excellency, we want to tell them to wait for the next elections in 2027. Let them come and sell their agenda to the people of Kenya. As the people of Kenya, look at your track record on development matters as you promised them when they elected you.
Yale ambayo yote tunafanya, hiyo ni market, unaweza anguka kidogo upite, lakini hii ya 2027 hiyo mtihani
The president's stance, however, seems to be null and void if Kenyans continue standing firm on their decision to impeach the president before the 2027 elections based on claims of incompetency from his government. Ivy Masharia, KUTV.
The National Cohesion and Integration Commission (NCIC) has summoned Dadaab Member of Parliament Farah Maalim to appear before the Commission on Thursday, 11th July 2024, to shed light on his utterances that if he was President of Kenya, he would have slaughtered 5,000 anti-finance bill protesters every day. Farah is required to appear before the Commission to assist the ongoing investigations.
The Dadaab Member of Parliament Farah Maalim is a man in trouble. This is after the National Cohesion and Integration Commission summoned the Dadaab lawmaker to appear before the commission this Thursday to shed light on inflammatory remarks he made against the young Kenyan protesters. The statement read in part under Section 27 of the National Cohesion and Integration Act of 2018. The Commission is investigating utterances made in Somali language on the anti-finance bill of 2024 protesters. According to the NCIC, the utterance made by Dadaab lawmaker is likely to incite feelings of contempt, hatred, hostility, violence and discrimination that could derail the peaceful coexistence contrary to the Section 13, Clause 1A of the NCIC Act. The controversial remarks made by Farah spark outrage among Kenyans who are now demanding his arrest and prosecution. Wiper Party is the latest outfit to condemn the lawmaker utterance. The party distanced itself from the remarks allegedly made by Dadaab Member of Parliament Farah Maalim over the finance bill of 2024 demonstrations, insisting that Maalim's alleged conduct is against the guiding principles of the party. The Wiper National Executive Council resolved to de-whip Maalim from all committees in Parliament. The NEC further recommended that Maalim, who is also the Wiper Party deputy leader, be expelled from the party. In a video that surfaced on social media, Maalim, while speaking in his native Somali dialect, said that if he was president of Kenya, he would have slaughtered 5,000 young protesters every day. In a video captured, Farah claimed that the protests staged by Gen Z were a plot to stage a coup by children of wealthy business owners. Wealthy parents and kids raised on ill-gotten wealth dropped off in downtown with instruction to riot and take over the State House and Parliament. The NCIC now wants Farah Maalim to appear before the commission without fail to assist with the aforementioned ongoing investigations. Auma Evans for KUTV, Nairobi.
Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi and the Cabinet Secretary for Transport, Honorable Kipchumba Murkomen, on appearing before the Senate today, highlighted financial distress as a major cause of major development gaps in both the Transport and Foreign Affairs ministries.
Madam Speaker, I was saying that there are thousands of Kenyans.
Over 400 Kenyans have been placed in the Gulf region for employment purposes, with 316 reported dead while in their line of duty. In his response to the identities of Kenyans working in Gulf region, their professions, hidden labor agreement contracts, 19 bilateral labor agreement timeline, and unregistered recruitment agencies, the Prime CS Honorable Musalia Mudavadi stressed on inadequate resources in the ministry, as well as less accurate data, as a factor that has greatly affected general facilitation of foreign affairs. In his efforts to fight mistreatment of the Gulf-based Kenyan employees, Mudavadi stated that 700 road agencies have been eliminated.
This is a conversation we've had with the budget committees to be of Parliament to be able to obtain resources so that we can put up more rescue centers.
On the other hand, the Cabinet Secretary for Transport Kipchumba Murkomen termed finance distress as a leading factor to the withdrawal of contractors on road construction projects in relation to a pending bill of roughly 165 billion on all transport portfolio. However, Murkomen recommended on revisions of road completion before embarking on new road constructions.
The situation has not changed insofar as development of our roads in the country from the time I was here. And it's important for the nation to understand that, let me repeat this here, that when we came to office in October 2022, and from when this government was elected in August 2022, I inherited a road portfolio on these roads that have been mentioned for development that had about 150 billion pending bills.
Senators have in the recent days amplified their voice, stating that they will vehemently continue with their oversight functions of keeping the Kenya Kwanza government on track. Brian Ouma, KUTV.
Following the recent medical interns demonstrations and several meetings between the government and doctors, representatives, Health CS Susan Nakumicha on Wednesday via a statement by the Ministry of Health announced that her ministry is working to post 552 interns. We'll have that story.
Through a statement seen by KUTV, Health Cabinet Secretary Susan Nakumicha today announced plans to immediately post 552 interns with the available funds as the Ministry of Health aims for further placement spending in increment of the available resources. The original budget standing at 4.8 billion shillings. CS Nakumicha revealed that she had received 3.7 billion shillings for the posting of 3,760 medical interns for the year 2024-2025 financial year. In a brave step to unlock the stalemate between the interns and the Ministry of Health out of court, the two parties agreed on posting of interns without further delay. In a weekend-long meeting, the parties explored various options including posting all doctors interns at the recommended SRC's tipped date of 70,000 per month, wait for court directions on 26th September 2024 and using the funds allocated in the 2024-2025 financial year budget in order to quell the stalemate. With the ministry acknowledging the constitutional rights of the interns to peacefully demonstrate and picket, CS Health asked the interns across all cadres to report to their internship centers as early as communicated. Nakumicha, however, called out a few individuals whom she says are using the demonstrations to paint the ministries as incompetent with the aim of propagating hopelessness and inciting chaos among the wider population. Ministry has posted interns across various cadres including 1,735 doctors, 1,214 medical officers, 496 pharmacists and 25 dentists, 874 nurses, 506 degree clinical officers, and 1,930 diploma clinical officers by mid-2024, totaling to 4,156 interns. As this unfolds, the Ministry of Health expressed optimism in the Presidential Task Force gazetted to deal with the internship issue permanently. Ochieng Cynthia, KUTV News.
The hearing of the infamous Shakahola cat deaths case resumed today at the Shanzu Court, with controversial preacher Paul Mackenzie and his counterparts facing charges of 13 acts of terrorism. The prosecution paraded 90 witnesses to testify against Mackenzie and his co-accused.
The Shanzu Law Courts today recommenced with the hearing of the contentious Shakahola cultic deaths case, with self-proclaimed preacher Paul Mackenzie and his 94 associates being charged with 13 acts of terrorism for their involvement in the deaths of over 450 individuals. The Director of Public Prosecutions further lined up 90 witnesses to testify against Mackenzie. Following Principal Magistrate Lea Juma's directive to have witness testimonies heard over 4 days, the hearing, which began on Monday, will proceed until Thursday. Meanwhile, Chief Government Pathologist Dr. Johansen Odor, while addressing journalists at the Malindi Sub-County Hospital morgue, stated that out of the 453 bodies exhumed at Shakahola Forest, only 34 have been positively identified.
There are very many profiles that they've generated, but their biggest challenge is reference sample. Reference sample is a sample which is obtained from the relatives, because not many relatives are willing to come and be part of the process. So they promise that they are still continuing with the process, and within time they'll be able to give us more results.
According to Dr. Odor, hundreds of unidentified victims will be temporarily buried in marked graves within the Shakahola forest.
If, say, for example, you try all your best to identify someone and this person is not known, we have a procedure in which we bury in a marked grave, meaning that you're buried temporarily as we wait for analysis to come. So what usually happen, you just have graves which are marked with the numbers which are similar to the number which are on the body itself.
Dr. Odwo further urged relatives of the victims to provide DNA samples and those who had already done so to be patient as the process is quite long. Other than a final survey to be done at the Shakahola forest, exhumation of bodies will finally come to a halt. Natalie Kioko, KUTV.
Now from Shakahola, we'll get back to matters politics, where Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has shrugged calls for dialogue by President William Ruto, saying that the current wave of Gen Z revolt cannot be wished away by dialogue, but rather immediate action. Kalonzo's stance has put him at crossroads with Azimio leader Raila Odinga, who affirmed his support for Ruto's multi-sectoral forum amidst a heavy backlash from Gen Z's, with Odinga's right-hand lieutenants terming Raila's call for dialogue a last-ditch attempt to save Kenya from further turmoil.
The indomitable Gen Z revolution is now threatening to dismantle Kenya's long-standing opposition. Ruto's recent invitation to dialogue, throwing the Azimio La Umoja coalition into shambles.
The way forward.
Kalonzo Musyoka was the last man standing in Ruto's pact with Raila after the departure of Kioni, Wamalwa and Karua, has chosen to stand with the Gen Z, rubbishing the planned multi-sectoral forum championed by Ruto.
Clearly discussed with him, are saying they don't need dialogue. There have been 20 dialogues so far. So, and really this dragging of feet, we don't want to be seen to be sanitizing a regime that has fallen flat on its own tummy.
The Wiper Party, through its Secretary General Shakila Abdallah, poked fingers at Ruto for the 41 deaths witnessed during the anti-finance bill demos, demanding for an apology from the president and calling for the resignation of Police Inspector General Japhet Koome.
The sheer brutality unleashed by the Inspector General of Police Japhet Koome and his force is an attempt to silence Gen Z, was unacceptable and unforgivable. Wiper Democratic Movement demands that IG Koome and National Regional Commander Adamson Bungei resigns from office and accept responsibility of the death, and they should be jailed with you.
Wiper says it speaks for the Gen Z as it demands for the dissolution of Parliament following last month's finance bill charade, saying Ruto's departure is their threshold for
the dialogue Gen Z and Kenyans are demanding is that Parliament stands dissolved, a snap election be called, and that Ruto go home safe.
Azimio leader Raila Odinga's move to court President Ruto in the planned multi-sectoral forum has put him at loggerheads with the young population. ODM lieutenants, in a bid to vindicate the former Prime Minister, have termed the call for dialogue as a last-ditch attempt to save Kenya from further turmoil. This, as even a larger political collaboration between Raila and the president is rumored to be in the making. Muneneweru, KUTV.
We have agreed out of the crisis.
Many thanks, Muneneweru, for that insightful report. With that, we will take our first break here on KUTV's News at 9.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepo pasi vuguvugu. Pepo pa ni idea.
Tazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, hiyo inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni duniani leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Now, thank you for being with us. We'll continue with our bulletin. The recent ban by President William Ruto on fundraising activities aimed at combating corruption appears to be affecting many families across the country. This directive, which prohibits government officials from participating in Harambee activities, has created significant challenges for students who rely on these funds to continue their education.
Brian Koba, second-year student at Great Lakes University, Kisumu, is among many students who depend on political harambees to finance their studies. Brian, among many others, now faces the challenge of halting his education due to the ban enforced by President William Ruto against politicians.
Mwaka ilikuwa ni ingie second year, but due to lack of fees sijafika. Niko na areas mingi sana na shule na hayo. Bila gate pass, unapatiwa gate pass after umelipa fee yote, of which mimi sikukamilisha, so sikupewa. So kuingia kwa gate ya shule ilikuwa shida. Mimi nikaona tu nikuje nitulie kwanza, nitafute niulizie watu mwenye usaidizi akipata anisaidie nirudi huko.
Brian explains that the recent changes have greatly affected him and jeopardized his dream of becoming a doctor, further stating that he missed out on help funding for his studies last year and that tuition fees at private universities are still very high despite being funded by KUTVs.
Nilienda huko hivyo after placement na KUTVs si self-sponsored. So huko hivyo kufika hakuna tofauti baina ya mtu mwenye ako self-sponsored na mwenye KUTVs imeweka huko. So the university wanachukua tu as an overall, kila mtu nikaa amekuja akiwa self-sponsored. So kuna vitu wanaweka juu, unaona, as nini tukikompare na public universities kwa Kenya.
Mary Makanda, a widowed parent, lamented the difficult living conditions and appealed for help from donors to fulfill her wish for children to return to school.
Naitwa Mary Nafuna Makanda. Mimi ni mkaaji wa Sango B. Mimi ombi langu niko naomba waheshimiwa wa MP na diwani na na governor. Niko naomba ombi langu mnisaidie juu niko na watoto hawana karo, nimekaa nao na mimi ni mama mchane ambapo msiposimama mnisaidie mimi peke yangu mimi siwezi.
Currently, Brian and his family rely on the assistance and generosity of donors, stating that he's ready to return to school anytime he receives help. The question now is whether they will receive any assistance following President Ruto's ban on fundraisers spearheaded by politicians as part of his tactics to fight corruption. Anyango Sylvia, KUTV.
The family and friends of 3 young men in Isiolo are now demanding to know the whereabouts of their kin who were kidnapped on Saturday morning in Isiolo town by masked robbers armed with guns. The kidnappers are said to have been waiting in 3 vehicles, 2 black Toyotas and 2 black Toyota Prados and 1 white Subaru. The family of the victims are now pointing fingers on the government security agencies for the disappearance of their kin.
According to complaints reported on the matter at Isiolo police station and the DCI offices, 22-year-old Issa Osman, 27-year-old Noura Abdi, and 35-year-old Mukhtar Tache alongside 2 others were abducted while having their normal morning meal on Saturday.
Family members have been abducted on Saturday, 6th July 2024 in Isiolo town and bundled into 2 black Prados and 1 white Subaru by heavily armed gunmen who are believed to be police officers.
In a press statement, Abdi Osman Guyo, the brother to Isman Osman Guyo, said that earlier on 5 youths were abducted by people who they believed to be police officers, but 2 of them were released midway along Isiolo Nanyuki Road, while their whereabouts of the other 3 still remains unknown. Abdi added, saying the information from the 2 released youths indicated the government were to blame for the abduction. The family members of the 2 are said to have been unable to trace them despite visiting a number of police stations in Isiolo, Nairobi and Kiambu, with human rights bodies terming the abduction as a constitutional violation.
My name's Said Jilobuke, a human rights activist working with the Waso Paralegal Initiative. For us today to be here, it is very sad. And in this day and age, we will not request, but we will demand the government of Kenya to be responsible, to be answerable to the abduction that happened yesterday. So that is one, on Saturday. Secondly, if we can give a preview of this particular scenario in Isiolo.
In relation to the recent abductions, a 23-year-old JQuad student named Denzel Omondi, who disappeared 2 days after he was seen protesting outside the parliament, was found dead in a quarry in Georgia, with postmortem reports indicating he had bruises at the back of his head. Becky Masi, reporting for KUTV.
Now let's get to the sporting world, where Meldina Sande, Jemima Siangu and Lindsay Cheruto will miss out on the 2024 Paris Olympics, set to kick off on the 26th of July after being dropped from Malkia Strikers squad that lost 3-0 in Puerto Rico in the quarter-finals of the Challenger Cup in the Philippines last week. At the same time, former women's marathon record holder Bridget Kosgei has withdrawn from Paris Olympics Games due to injuries sustained and replaced by silver medalist Sharon Lokedi, who will join Peres Jepchirchir and Helen Obiri in France. Now, Gor Mahia will open their 2024 Sekafa campaign against Zambia Red Arrows FC on the Sekafa Kagame Cup 2024 at Azam Complex Stadium in Tanzania. The Kogelos are hopeful to earn 3 points in tonight's ongoing match and win the subsequent matches in Pool B. Gor Mahia will then face Sudan's Al Hilal team on Saturday, 13th of July. Now, from the sporting world, we'll call it a night here on KUTV's News at 9. Our sign language interpreter has been John Opio. My name is Yvonne Kemuma. See you next time.